Um, Jesus is talking and he shares the parable. He says, "A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me.' And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, and he took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, but no man gave unto him anything. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy servants. And he rose and he came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and in thy sight I am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring the best robe, and put it on his hand, and bring a ring, and put it on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive. Again he was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry. And then it goes on, it talks about the elder brother and his response. And anyway, but the thing I wanted to focus on a little bit was the fact that it says, and when he came to himself, he had gone on this journey. He had asked his father for his inheritance. He had decided that he wanted to go and do his own thing, and he did that. And he came to a point of self-destruction in a sense, because he spent all his money, he wasted all his money that he had gotten from his father, and was reduced to the point of having to work for somebody else feeding pigs. That's what his job was. And he was so hungry he would have eaten the food that the pigs ate, but they didn't give him anything to eat. And he comes to this point where it says he came to himself. Now, that's sort of the thing that we want to happen in the lives of people. You know, you can talk to people, you can pray for people, you can do everything you want for people, but there has to come a realization within them that they have a need and that they're seeking after a solution. Because until that point, they don't hear what you're saying. They don't care what you're saying, really. And so we see in the scripture, it says, and when he came to himself and he said, what am I doing? What am I doing? It's kind of like that commercial. I could have had a V8. You know, like he came to the point where he realized that I don't have to be in this situation any longer, because I can go back home and my father has food to feed all the servants and clothes for all the servants. I can just go back and be a servant to my father. Now, of course, he goes back, and his father's watching for him, sees him coming from a long way off, and when he sees him coming, he runs out and embraces him and kisses him, and he gives the apology. His Father, forgive me. I'm not worthy to be your son. I'm only worthy to be your servant. And that's sort of the mentality sometimes when we come to Christ, is we think that we're not part of the family. He just wants to use us. We're just servants. And that's not what Jesus said. He said, I've no longer called you servants, but I've called you friends. You know, so that's what's great about it is sometimes when we get down in the dumps, or sometimes when we think we've done something wrong, and God, I'm only worthy to be used by God to do this or to do that. That's not what God says. God says that we're part of his family. And so yes, we need to get forgiven. Yes, we need to apologize, all of that. But he embraces us and welcomes us back into the family. And that's the great thing about it, is that I have no longer called you servants, but I have called you friends. Because all that my Father has made known unto me, I've made known unto you. And so we've been included in that great list of people. You know, when God talked to Abraham, and he says, I got to share this with Abraham because he's going to be a great nation someday. And he needs to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's the kind of relationship we're supposed to have with God as we live in this world. So as we're out and about in the world, it's not that we have power, although we do, but it's not like that kind of power. It's the kind of power where, because we have the ability to talk to God, because we have the ability to make intercession for other people, we can impact the lives of people in a huge way, because God reveals to us things to say and do, and God moves on our behalf in the lives of individuals in certain ways. So when we go and we put our arm around somebody, God supernaturally gives us the ability to love people. because most people, including ourselves, are unlovable in lots of ways, right? And so when we go out into the world and we see things, God gives us a supernatural ability to love people, because it's not our love, it's God's love. God says, as I have loved you, so you love others. And so we received God's mercy and grace and overwhelming love. And as we go out into the world then, we demonstrate that love by being able to be compassionate and understanding and tolerant and be used of God to be willing to involve ourselves in the lives and situations of other people. And that's what it's about. And so that's what we want to do. We want to have an opportunity where people can come here not because they're earning salvation or something, but because they're looking for God. They're looking for His direction in their life. They're looking for hope. They're looking for peace. They're looking for all these things that God has promised to provide. And so that's why we're here.